Good morning, everyone. This is Karl F. Rose, recording live from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2014. And this is going to be a long video. I have a lot on this particular day. And actually for the month of August, I'm going to have to break down some of the days into part 1s and part 2. I had a lot of things to read during the month of August, which actually makes sense. That particular time I was starting to have a lot of problems with my previous neighbors where I was living previously. And so anyway, with that said, tomorrow I won't be doing a video. I'm going to be just way too busy. So I will continue again on Friday. So yeah, no video for tomorrow. So anyway, here are the Bible verses that I was led to read on August 5th of 2013. And we're going to start out with Leviticus chapter 23 verse 27. Okay, and the footnote under Leviticus 23 says, the feast of Jehovah, the Sabbath and the feast. Now let's go to verse 27. Okay, and then there is another footnote above this little section here. It says, the feast of Jehovah, and then in parentheses 6, it says, the Day of Atonement. And then verse 27 says, also on the 10th day of this seventh month, there shall be a day of atonement, and shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Okay, let me go on to Deuteronomy. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 through 14. Okay, the footnote under Deuteronomy chapter 10 reads as warnings and exhortations. So 12, 13, and 14. Start off with 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. 13. To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. And 14. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is the Lord's thy God, the earth also, with all that therein is. And amen to all those three. Okay, let me go to, now we're going to 1 Samuel. Okay. Chapter 30, verse 6. Okay, chapter 30, the footnote under that says, David avenges the destruction of Ziklag. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm going to be butchering a lot of these names. I'm not very good at pronouncing things, so you'll just have to bear with me. Verse 6 says, and David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sins and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. I don't need to elaborate on that. Okay, now let's go to Psalms. Okay, Psalms chapter 107. Okay, Psalms chapter 107, verse 25. For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. And let's go to 28. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he bringeth them out of their distresses. And then 30. Then are they glad, because they be quiet. So he bringeth them unto their desired haven. I don't think I need to really go into that. Okay, so next one, let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. Okay, there's a footnote under Proverbs chapter 16. It says, in parentheses, the contrast of goodness and evil. And let's see what verse 7 says. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Amen to that. Okay. Now let's go to, where am I at here? Ezekiel. Going to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 36 and verses 36 and 37. Okay, there's a footnote under Ezekiel 36. It says, message to the mountains of Israel, the restoration predicted. Okay, let's see what 36 and 37 say. Okay, and there's a footnote under this little section here. The past sins of Israel, her future restoration and conversion. Okay, verses 36 and 37. At 36. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, the Lord, build the ruined places, and plant that was desolate. I am the Lord, have spoken it, and will do it. Thus saith the Lord. And 37. Thus saith the Lord God, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. Okay, now let's go to where are we at here? Oh, 2 Corinthians. Okay, 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4. Okay. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. There's a footnote under that. It says Paul's principles of action. And then in parentheses 1, the explanation. And verse 4 says, who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. And let me go to chapter 4 verses 8 and 9. Okay, and then the footnote under chapter 4 says the ministry, and then in parentheses D, honest. Let me see what 8 and 9 say. Okay, and then right above verses 8 and 9 is a footnote, the ministry, and in parentheses E, suffering. Okay, and 8, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. And then 9, persecuted, but not forsaken, cast down, but not destroyed. And amen to both of those. Okay, let's see. Okay, where are we at? Okay, now we're going to go to Philippians. Philippians chapter 1. Philippians chapter 1 verse 14, and there's a footnote under chapter 1. It says, Christ, the believer's life, rejoicing in spite of suffering. And then in parentheses 1, and then salutation. See what verse 14 says. Okay, and there's a footnote under this little section, and it says in parentheses 2, joy triumphing over suffering. And many of, and here's verse 14, and many of the brethren in the Lord, waxing confident by my bonds, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Amen. Okay, now let's go to finish off with James. Chapter 5, verse 15. Okay, James chapter 5, there's a footnote under chapter 5. The rich warned. And then verse 15. And then there's a footnote above this little section here. And that says, exhortations in view of the coming of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise them up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Amen. Okay, I'm finishing off on that. With that, God bless you all. God bless the country you happen to be in. God bless America, and be sure to hug your loved ones, including your pets. And I'll talk to you again on Friday. Goodbye.